In this episode, we shall discuss the life and legacy of a man who is widely regarded as one of the greatest and most influential military and political leaders in history. That man is none other than the French military commander and emperor, Napoleon Bonaparte. Napoleon Bonaparte was a French military and political leader who rose from relative obscurity to become one of the most influential and controversial figures in European history. A military genius, statesman, and ruler, Napoleon's impact stretched across the late 18th and early 19th centuries, leaving an indelible mark on politics, warfare, and legal systems. Beginning his career during the tumultuous years of the French Revolution, Napoleon rapidly ascended the ranks of the military, showcasing strategic brilliance in campaigns across Europe. Napoleon's military campaigns, known as the Napoleonic Wars, saw both stunning victories and eventual defeats. His innovative tactics, including the use of the corps system and rapid maneuvering, revolutionized warfare. The battles of Austerlitz, Jena-Auerstedt, and Wagram showcased his military prowess, while the disastrous invasion of Russia and defeats at Leipzig and Waterloo contributed to his downfall. Beyond the battlefield, Napoleon introduced lasting reforms, most notably the Napoleonic Code, a civil law system that influenced legal structures worldwide. His administrative innovations and support for the arts left a lasting impact on governance and culture. However, his ambitions for European dominance led to years of conflict, and his autocratic rule generated both admiration and opposition. Napoleon Bonaparte's legacy is complex, encompassing military genius, legal reformer, and controversial ruler. His impact on European history and the enduring influence of his ideas make him a subject of continued study and debate. Napoleon Bonaparte was born on August 15, 1769, in Ajaccio, Corsica, which was then a French territory. He was the second of 8 children born to Carlo Bonaparte and Letizia Remolino. His family belonged to the minor Corsican nobility, and his father, Carlo, had some connections with the French aristocracy. Napoleon received his early education in mainland France, attending military school in Brienne-le-Château and later the École Militaire in Paris. Despite facing some discrimination as a Corsican outsider, he excelled academically and showed a keen interest in military affairs. He graduated from the École Militaire in 1785 at the age of 16 and was commissioned as a second lieutenant in the artillery. After completing his education, Napoleon returned to Corsica in 1786. However, his family's political affiliations and the changing political climate in Corsica led to their departure from the island in 1793. Napoleon chose to remain in France and serve the revolutionary government. In the early years of the French Revolution, Napoleon supported Corsican independence. However, as the political situation evolved, he shifted his allegiance to the French Republic and joined the French military. Napoleon received a solid military education at the École Militaire in Paris. Despite being a Corsican outsider, he excelled academically and demonstrated a keen interest in military strategy and tactics. Before his command in Italy, Napoleon gained attention for his role in the siege of Toulon in 1793. He played a crucial role in capturing the strategic port from royalist forces, earning recognition and a promotion to brigadier general. One of the pivotal moments in Napoleon's early career was his command during the Italian campaigns of 1796 to 1797. At the age of 27, he was given command of the Army of Italy. His innovative tactics, speed, and decisiveness in battles, such as the Battle of Lodi, brought him significant success against Austrian and Sardinian forces. Napoleon's military ambitions extended beyond Europe, and he led the French army in the Egyptian campaign, seeking to undermine British influence in the region. Although the campaign ultimately ended in failure, Napoleon's military prowess was evident in battles like the Battle of the Pyramids. Napoleon's political connections also played a role in his rise. He was associated with political figures who supported the revolution, and his strategic prowess in military campaigns helped him gain favor with revolutionary leaders. His marriage to Josephine de Beauharnais, whose connections were beneficial, further solidified his position. Napoleon possessed charisma and exceptional leadership qualities. His ability to inspire and motivate his troops played a crucial role in their loyalty and success on the battlefield. Napoleon's combination of military genius, political acumen, and opportunism allowed him to rise swiftly through the ranks during a tumultuous period in French history. By the late 1790s, France was experiencing political instability. The radical phase of the French Revolution, marked by the Reign of Terror, had given way to the more moderate Directory. However, the Directory faced challenges, including economic difficulties, military setbacks, and internal dissent. Napoleon had risen to prominence as a military commander during the Italian campaigns and the Egyptian expedition. His victories, particularly at the Battle of Marengo in 1800, enhanced his reputation and popularity. Despite his military successes, Napoleon became frustrated with the political situation in France. Tensions were rising between different political factions, and the Directory's effectiveness was questioned. The political climate was marked by corruption, inefficiency, and a power struggle among various groups. On November 9, 1799, Napoleon, along with his brother Lucien Bonaparte, who was a member of the Council of 500, conciled a cinq cents, orchestrated a plan to dissolve the existing government. Lucien Bonaparte used his position to influence the council and secure its cooperation in the coup. On the night of November 9 to 10, 1799, Napoleon took decisive action. He deployed troops to surround the Tuileries Palace, where the Directory was located. The Council of Ancients, another legislative body, was convened, and under the influence of Lucien Bonaparte, it passed a resolution declaring the Directory dissolved. With the Directory dissolved, the Council of Ancients appointed Napoleon, along with two others, Emmanuel Joseph Sieyes and Roger Ducos, as provisional consuls. This marked the establishment of the consulate. However, it quickly became apparent that Napoleon held the dominant position among the three. In the weeks following the coup, Napoleon consolidated power. On December 13, 1799, a new constitution was approved. Under this constitution, Napoleon became the first consul, with Sieyes and Ducos serving as the second and third consuls, respectively. The new government was characterized by a strong executive, with Napoleon effectively holding the reins of power. The coup of 18 Brumaire not only ended the Directory but also set the stage for Napoleon's rise to leadership in France. This marked the beginning of the consulate period, during which Napoleon would further solidify his political control. After Napoleon Bonaparte became the first consul of France, he focused on consolidating power, stabilizing the country, and implementing various reforms. While the constitution created the appearance of a republican government, Napoleon effectively held the reins of power. Napoleon implemented a series of domestic reforms aimed at bringing stability to France. One of his most significant contributions was the Napoleonic Code, Code Napoleon, established in 1804. This legal code consolidated and modernized French law, emphasizing principles of equality before the law, protection of property rights, and individual liberties. Napoleon undertook financial reforms to stabilize the economy. He restored the Bank of France, which played a crucial role in managing the country's finances. Additionally, he sought to balance the budget and streamline tax collection. Seeking to reconcile with the Catholic Church and restore religious stability in France, Napoleon negotiated the Concordat with Pope Pius VII in 1801. The agreement re-established the Catholic Church in France but placed it under state control. It helped soothe tensions between the state and the Church that had existed since the French Revolution. Napoleon gradually concentrated power in his own hands. In 1802, a plebiscite confirmed him as first consul for life. This title, along with the power to appoint his successor, indicated a move toward a more permanent and centralized rule. In 1804, a plebiscite was held to decide whether Napoleon should become emperor. The outcome, with an overwhelming majority in favor, provided the popular mandate for the establishment of the French Empire. On May 18, 1804, Napoleon officially proclaimed himself Emperor of the French. The coronation ceremony took place at Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris on December 2, 1804. During the ceremony, Napoleon crowned himself, with Pope Pius VII present to bless the coronation. Napoleon's decision to assume the title of emperor was not merely symbolic. It reflected his ambition to establish a hereditary monarchy and create a stable dynasty. In 1804, he also founded the Napoleonic nobility, creating titles of nobility for loyal supporters. The establishment of the French Empire did not mark a significant departure from the existing political structure. Instead, it concentrated power in Napoleon's hands and signaled a move toward a more autocratic form of rule. Napoleon's transition from first consul to emperor marked a critical phase in French history, signaling the end of the revolutionary ideals of the French Revolution and the establishment of a more centralized and authoritative regime. The Napoleonic era, characterized by military campaigns, administrative reforms, and the Napoleonic Code, had begun. With his coronation, Napoleon transformed the French Republic into the French Empire. The change in title reflected his ambition to create a hereditary monarchy with himself as the ruling monarch. The imperial title was intended to provide a more stable and authoritative form of government compared to the revolutionary republic. While the Napoleonic Code had been established during his time as first consul, it was under his reign as emperor that it was officially implemented in 1804. The Napoleonic Code served as a comprehensive civil code, influencing legal systems in many countries and emphasizing principles of equality, property rights, and individual freedoms. Napoleon continued his military campaigns to expand and consolidate French power in Europe. Notable among these campaigns was the War of the Fourth Coalition, 1806–1807, where he achieved victories at the Battle of Jena-Auerstedt and the Treaty of Tilsit, strengthening French influence on the continent. To secure his dynasty, Napoleon engaged in strategic marriages. He divorced Josephine in 1809, as she had not provided him with an heir, and married Marie-Louise of Austria. The union resulted in the birth of Napoleon's son and heir, Napoleon II. Napoleon implemented the Continental System, an economic blockade aimed at isolating Britain by forbidding European countries from trading with the British. The system, while intended to weaken Britain economically, had mixed success and led to tensions with other European nations. By 1810, Napoleon's empire reached its territorial zenith, dominating much of continental Europe. However, tensions and conflicts with other European powers persisted. Napoleon Bonaparte undertook several military campaigns that failed, contributing significantly to his eventual downfall. Napoleon's invasion of Russia in 1812 aimed to compel Tsar Alexander I to adhere to the continental system. The campaign proved to be disastrous for the French due to the vastness of Russia, harsh weather, and the Russian use of scorched earth tactics. The French Grande Armée suffered substantial losses during the retreat. The failure of the Russian campaign marked a turning point in Napoleon's fortunes, weakening his military and political position. In 1813–1814, the Sixth Coalition, including Russia, Prussia, Austria, and other allies, sought to defeat Napoleon and restore a balance of power in Europe. As the Sixth Coalition entered Paris in early 1814, it became clear that Napoleon's position was untenable. Faced with the approach of coalition forces and political pressure, Napoleon abdicated the throne on April 6, 1814. The Treaty of Fontainebleau was signed on April 11, 1814, outlining the terms of Napoleon's abdication. According to the treaty, Napoleon was granted sovereignty over the island of Elba, a small Mediterranean island, and allowed to retain the title of emperor with a small personal guard. Following his abdication, Napoleon was sent into exile in Elba, where he remained from May 4, 1814, until his escape in February 1815. In 1815, Napoleon escaped from Elba, returned to France, and began the period known as the 100 Days. His return prompted some initial support, and he rapidly gathered an army. However, his attempt to regain power and challenge the Seventh Coalition ultimately led to the Battle of Waterloo on June 18, 1815. Napoleon suffered a decisive defeat at the Battle of Waterloo against the British and Allied forces led by the Duke of Wellington and the Prussian army under Gebhard Lieberecht von Blücher. Facing the prospect of capture and with his forces defeated, Napoleon abdicated for the second time on June 22, 1815. The terms of his second abdication were less lenient than those of 1814. This time, Napoleon was not allowed to retain his imperial title, and he was exiled to the remote British-controlled island of St. Helena in the South Atlantic. He was transported there by the British, who wanted to ensure he could not escape and disrupt European stability again. These abdications and exiles marked the end of Napoleon's political career and the Napoleonic era. Napoleon lived in Longwood House, a residence on St. Helena, under the constant supervision of British authorities. His lifestyle on the island was restrictive, and he was subjected to close monitoring by the governor, Sir Hudson Lowe. During his exile, Napoleon dictated his memoirs to General Gaspard Gourgaud and others. He also corresponded with friends, family, and supporters, expressing his thoughts on various subjects, including politics, military strategy, and his own legacy. Napoleon's health deteriorated during his time in St. Helena. He suffered from various ailments, including stomach problems and respiratory issues. Controversy surrounds the cause of his death, with theories ranging from stomach cancer to arsenic poisoning. Napoleon Bonaparte died on May 5, 1821, at the age of 51. The official cause of death listed was stomach cancer. However, suspicions of poisoning persisted, and in the 20th century, forensic analysis suggested elevated levels of arsenic in his hair. The exact circumstances of his death remain a subject of historical debate. Napoleon's body was initially interred in St. Helena. In 1840, his remains were exhumed and transferred to France, where he received a state funeral and was reburied in Les Invalides in Paris. The tomb at Les Invalides became a symbol of Napoleonic glory and is a popular tourist attraction. Napoleon Bonaparte left a complex and lasting legacy that continues to be a subject of historical debate. His impact can be observed in various areas, including politics, military strategy, law, and culture. Napoleon is widely regarded as one of the greatest military commanders in history. His military strategies and tactics, such as the use of artillery, the corps system, and rapid maneuvering, have influenced military thought and are studied in military academies worldwide. One of Napoleon's most enduring legacies is the Napoleonic Code, Code Napoleon. Introduced in 1804, it served as a comprehensive civil code that emphasized principles of equality before the law, protection of property rights, and individual liberties. The Napoleonic Code influenced legal systems in many countries and is considered a foundation for modern civil law. Napoleon introduced administrative reforms that streamlined governance and centralized authority. The prefect system, which appointed government officials to oversee regions, remains an element of administrative organization in some countries. Napoleon's campaigns and the spread of French influence contributed to the development of nationalism in Europe. The idea of a unified national identity and pride in one's country gained momentum during and after the Napoleonic era. Despite being a military conqueror, Napoleon unintentionally contributed to the idea of European integration. His administrative reforms and legal code had a unifying effect on the territories under his control, and his conquests helped spread ideas of political and social change. Napoleon's reign had a significant impact on the arts and culture. He supported the development of the arts, architecture, and education. Neoclassical art and architecture, influenced by the ideals of ancient Rome, flourished during his rule. The Napoleonic Wars had a profound impact on European geopolitics and contributed to shaping the continent's balance of power for years to come. The Congress of Vienna in 1815, which aimed to restore stability in Europe after Napoleon's defeat, established a framework that influenced diplomatic relations. Napoleon remains a controversial figure, with opinions about him varying widely. Some view him as a military genius and visionary leader, while others criticize his autocratic tendencies, aggressive expansionism, and the immense human cost of his wars. Napoleon's life and career continue to be a subject of fascination and inspiration in literature, film, and popular culture. His image is iconic, and stories about his military campaigns and personal life persist in historical narratives. Napoleon Bonaparte's legacy is multifaceted, encompassing both positive and negative aspects. His influence is evident in legal systems, military thought, and the development of nationalism, and remains a topic of study and discussion in various fields.